In 1930, Mahatma Gandhi walked 240 miles on foot in the heat for 24 days to pick up a handful of salt from the sea. 8,000 people followed him. The British Empire tried to stop him. It became one of the most famous acts of civil disobedience in history. The thing he was marching for, today, it costs $50 a ton. Not a pinch, not a shake-up, a ton. So what happened? How did something worth risking arrest, worth walking 240 miles for, become so worthless that we don't even think about it? The answer is a masterclass in economics, and it explains the price of almost everything. Take salt versus diamonds. Salt has enormous total utility. Without it, you die in 3 days. Diamonds, you could go your entire life without one and be completely fine. No doctor has ever written a prescription for a diamond. No civilization has ever collapsed without them. And yet, a diamond costs more than a car. Salt costs less than dirt. That's not market failure. That's not irrational. That is the market working exactly as it should. And it confused the greatest economic minds in history for centuries. Adam Smith, the father of modern economics, called it the diamond water paradox. Water is essential for life. Diamonds are decorative rocks. So why does the decorative rock cost thousands of times more? He identified the problem in 1776 and couldn't fully solve it. It took around another 100 years and 3 economists working independently to crack it. The answer isn't about total value. It's about marginal value. The value of one more unit. Salt has the opposite problem. The world produces 280 million tons of it a year, roughly 80 pounds for every single person on Earth. There is no way to manufacture scarcity where deposits exist on every continent, and the sun will evaporate the brine for free. Supplying so massively outpaces demand that last unit sitting in the pile, the marginal unit, is worth almost nothing to anyone. Salt keeps you alive. Its total utility is almost incalculably high, but because there's always more of it than you could ever use, the next unit is worthless. And that's the price the market sets. Diamonds will not save your life. Their total utility is close to zero. But because supply is controlled, finite, carefully rationed, that next stone, it feels precious. And the market prices it accordingly. Price has almost nothing to do with how much you need something. It has everything to do with how much you'd pay for one more unit and how easy it is for the world to give it to you. That's marginal utility. And once you understand it, you'll never look at the price tag the same way again. There's another reason salt is cheap. It costs almost nothing to make. Modern salt comes from 3 sources. 1, solution mining. Companies pump water underground and dissolve salt deposits, then pump the brine back up and evaporate it. 2 is rock mining. Machines extract solid salt directly from underground. And 3 is solar evaporation. Seawater gets channeled into shallow ponds and then the sun does all the work. The cost, solution mining runs anywhere from $30 to $50 per ton. Solar evaporation in the right climate can be even less. Here's the key. These technologies are widely available. No secret recipe, no patent, no rare ingredients. Salt deposits exist on every continent. Anyone with capital can start producing. In economics, that's merely a perfectly competitive market. Here's something that should bother you. The salt on your restaurant table and the salt dissolving ice on the highway, they are at a molecular level the exact same thing. One costs $2,000 a ton. The other costs as little as $65 a ton. Same mines, same molecule, a 30 times price difference. That's not a glitch. That's exploitation. That is one of the most deliberate engineered features of modern business, and Once you understand how it works, you'll see it operating everywhere. It's called market segmentation. Market segmentation is the practice of identifying groups of buyers who value the same product differently, then charging each group as close to their maximum willingness to pay as possible. Notice what that definition doesn't say. It doesn't say find different products for different customers. It doesn't say build a premium version. It says clearly find the same product, identify who values it differently, and price accordingly. This is the purest expression of a concept economists call price discrimination. And in academic economics, discrimination here isn't a prerogative. It's a technical term. First-degree price discrimination means charging every individual buyer exactly what they'd be willing to pay. Third degree, which is what sold companies actually do, means grouping buyers into segments and charging each segment a different price. The goal is to capture what economists call consumer surplus, the gap between what buyers would have been willing to pay and what they actually pay. In a single price market, that surplus stays in the buyer's pocket. Segmentation is the business mechanism used to capture it back. In theory, it's elegant. In practice, it requires 3 conditions to work, and Salt, almost accidentally, meets all 3 perfectly. The first condition is that different groups must value the product differently. This sounds obvious, but it's not always guaranteed. If all your buyers want the same thing for the same reason, there's no segmentation opportunity. You're stuck with one price. Salt has this in abundance. A chemical manufacturer buying chlorine alkali feedstock needs volume, reliability, consistent sodium chloride concentration. What they do not need is a beautiful label or a celebrity chef endorsement. Their willingness to pay is anchored to the production cost of whatever they're making downstream. A road authority buying winter de-icer is constrained by municipal procurement rules and public budget cycles. Their ceiling is low and it's fixed. A home cook, on the other hand, browsing specialty food stores is making an entirely emotional purchase. They're not calculating input costs. They're buying the idea of quality, the story on the label, the ritual cooking well. Their willingness to pay has almost no relationship to the underlying material value. Same molecule, completely different purchase psychology. The second condition is that you must be able to prevent arbitrage, meaning you have to stop the cheap segment buyers from reselling to expensive segment buyers and collapsing the price difference. Remember when we were speaking about diamonds earlier in the video? This is where salt segmentation is almost comically well protected. The road authority buying $65 ton de-icing salt cannot resell it to restaurants. Not because of legal restrictions, but because it arrives in 20-ton bulk deliveries, dumped directly into storage facilities, mixed with sand and anti-caking compounds, and is entirely unsuitable as a food product. The packaging, logistics chain, and certification requirements create natural barriers that make arbitrage physically impossible. A chemical plant isn't going to repackage industrial brine into little glass jars and sell it at farmers markets. The segments are self-sealing. Now, the third condition is that you must be able to identify which segment each buyer belongs to and keep them there. Get back in piece by piece and you reconstruct the entire pricing architecture of the modern economy, where the same underlying material can simultaneously be worth 30 times more or less, depending entirely on who is holding it, why they want it, and what story they've been told about it. This is market segmentation. Salt didn't invent it. Salt just makes it impossible to ignore. So what does salt teach us? Price and importance aren't the same thing. The most essential goods can be the cheapest if they're abundant relative to a need. Value is about scarcity and marginal utility, not necessity. Competition theoretically drives prices down. When many producers sell identical products with low barriers to entry, prices cluster around production cost. There's no room for premium prices when customers can freely switch. However, we learned that context creates value. The same molecule of sodium chloride is worth $50 per tonne as road salt and $2,000 per tonne as gourmet table salt. Value isn't inherent, it's created through certification, branding, marketing, and meeting specific needs. We know that geography still matters. Even in a globalized economy, transport costs, especially at the moment, create regional markets. Where you are affects what things cost, and nothing exists in isolation. Salt price is connected to construction activity, winter weather, food trends, and chemical demands. Markets are interconnected. Changes ripple across industries. Salt's journey from precious to plentiful is really the story of human progress, better technology, efficient production, additive markets, global trade, all working together to make essential goods affordable, or in some cases at least available. Next time you season your food, remember you're watching economics in action: supply and demand, competition, segmentation, and derived demand, all in a few crystals of sodium chloride. If you found this video useful, hit the like and subscribe for more everyday economics through general products. Drop a comment telling me what other commodities you want me to dig into next. See you in the next one.